Let me start with something uncomfortable, but honest. Most of us are not afraid of being alone. What we're afraid of is being emotionally abandoned while standing right next to someone. Let's start with a truth that's uncomfortable but necessary. Most of us aren't afraid of being alone. What we're afraid of is standing next to someone and realizing, slowly and quietly, that they don't truly see us, that they aren't showing up for us in the ways that matter most. There's a unique heartbreak in giving your energy, your time, your empathy, and your love, and having it returned with indifference. It's subtle, it's quiet, and because it's quiet, we often convince ourselves it's our fault. We tell ourselves that maybe we're too much or not enough or simply asking for too much. But here's the reality: when someone genuinely cares, you don't have to earn basic human decency. Caring is consistent even when life is inconvenient. Caring doesn't disappear when things get messy. One of the first signs that someone doesn't truly care is inconsistency. It's not that they're busy or forgetful. Everyone is busy, but their attention and energy come in bursts, not rhythms. They return when it suits them, and they vanish when it doesn't. And over time, this inconsistency teaches your heart to tolerate what should be unacceptable. Another sign is emotional minimization. When your feelings are brushed off, made fun of, or dismissed as overreacting, it sends a message louder than words. Your inner world doesn't matter. Care honors emotions. Care listens without judgment. Indifference, even subtle, teaches you to question the legitimacy of your own experience. One-sided effort is another loud warning. You're the one reaching out, holding space, making plans, or smoothing tension. You're carrying the weight of the relationship while the other person moves through life unbothered. It's exhausting, and yet exhaustion often masquerades as love. Real love and care feel like shared responsibility, not emotional labor carried alone. Lack of curiosity about your life is another signal. Someone who truly cares asks questions, remembers details, and celebrates small victories with you. If they don't notice, don't ask, and don't engage, it's a sign of emotional absence, no matter how physically present they may be. Conditional support is equally revealing. Care doesn't fluctuate based on your mood, success, or ease of being. If someone only shows up when it's convenient or when you're performing well, it's not care, it's a transaction. Boundaries are another measure. People who respect you respect your limits. Those who repeatedly ignore or test them are teaching you that your comfort, your safety, and your voice are optional to them. And when someone deflects, blames, or turns your vulnerability into a debate, they're not misunderstanding. They're not choosing to meet you where you are. The final sign is the most painful, when you feel lonelier with them than without them. Your body often recognizes the truth before your mind does. You feel it in your chest, your gut, in quiet moments when you're hoping they care enough to show up. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It's the bravest act of all. It's acknowledging that your worth is not conditional, that your needs are valid, and that you deserve steady care, respect, and love. Walking away from what diminishes you is not abandonment, it's courage. And when you choose yourself, you open the door to relationships where care is mutual, presence is consistent, and your heart can finally rest. There's a quiet pain many of us carry, and we often mistake it for loneliness. But it's not really about being alone. It's about feeling unseen and uncared for by the people closest to us. It's that slow realization that the person you've trusted with your heart isn't meeting you halfway, isn't showing up when it matters, and isn't willing to engage in the kind of care that feels like safety. It's subtle, so subtle that you convince yourself you're imagining it, or that you're too sensitive, but here's the truth: when someone genuinely cares, you don't have to question your worth, you don't have to prove yourself. You are met where you are, not where someone else thinks you should be. One of the first signs someone doesn't truly care is inconsistency. They might be there one day, completely attentive, and gone the next, leaving silence and absence in their wake. And over time, you start to internalize it, thinking that sporadic attention is normal, that being overlooked is just part of the relationship. Another sign is emotional minimization. When your feelings are dismissed, laughed at, or labeled as too dramatic, it sends the message that your inner life doesn't matter. But your emotions are not a burden. They are a compass. They tell you what matters to you, and they tell you when someone else is not showing up for you in the ways they should. One-sided effort is another warning sign. You are the one making the calls, planning the visits, extending patience, and carrying the weight of connection. Real care doesn't feel like a heavy responsibility that only you are willing to bear. True care is reciprocal. If you are always the one reaching out and the other person rarely or never does, it's a signal, not that you're too much, but that they are not capable of giving the care you need. Lack of curiosity about your life is also a red flag. Someone who genuinely cares asks questions, remembers details, and celebrates milestones with you. Indifference in these moments is louder than any words. Conditional support is a quiet but powerful signal. Care does not waver based on convenience, mood, or circumstance. If someone is there only when life is easy or when you fit a version of yourself they prefer, they are not showing love. They are showing a preference for comfort over connection. Boundaries are also revealing. When someone continually pushes past your limits, ignores your needs, or dismisses your attempts to protect your emotional space, it's not miscommunication. It's a clear statement that your well-being is secondary. And finally, the most painful sign, when being with them leaves you feeling lonelier than being alone. Your body knows the truth before your mind does. You feel the weight, the emptiness, the quiet ache of being emotionally unsupported. Choosing yourself in these moments is not selfish, it's courageous. It is acknowledging that your heart is worthy of steady, consistent care. Walking away from what diminishes you is not abandonment, it's an act of love for yourself. And when you do, you make room for relationships that honor you fully, where love is not conditional, care is consistent, and your heart can finally rest without compromise. There's a feeling that most of us know, even if we don't always name it. The sensation of being next to someone and yet feeling invisible. It's not loneliness in the traditional sense. It's the ache of giving your heart, your energy, your attention, and realizing that the other person is not showing up in return. They may be physically present, but emotionally they are absent, and over time we start to question ourselves. Maybe we think we are too sensitive, too demanding, or too emotional, but the truth is, care is not something you have to earn. When someone truly cares, they show up, they notice, and they make space for you without hesitation. One of the first signs that someone doesn't genuinely care is inconsistency. You see them one day, fully attentive, laughing, listening, engaged, and then they vanish the next. Not because life is busy, not because they forgot, but because they are choosing convenience over presence. And slowly, inconsistency teaches you to normalize absence, to accept it as part of the relationship, and that's where the heart begins to shrink. Another sign is emotional minimization, when your feelings are brushed aside, laughed at, or called too much. What is really happening is that your emotional world is being invalidated. Care listens, care holds space, care honors vulnerability. Indifference teaches you to question your own reality. One-sided effort is a warning that cannot be ignored. You are the one reaching out, making plans, smoothing tension, showing patience, and holding the weight of the relationship while the other person moves through life unbothered. Real care does not feel like a job you must carry alone. Love and attention are mutual. When effort is always yours, it's a signal that care is absent. Lack of curiosity is another sign. Someone who cares asks questions, remembers the little things, celebrates the wins, and notices when something is off. If they do not, it's not forgetfulness, it's emotional absence. Conditional support is also revealing. People who genuinely care stand by you in the highs and the lows. If someone is only present when it's easy or convenient, they are showing preference for comfort over connection. Boundaries, too, are illuminating. When your limits are ignored, pushed, or dismissed, it's a clear signal that your well-being is not a priority. And finally, the most painful sign, when being with them leaves you feeling lonelier than being alone. Your body often feels the truth before your mind can accept it. Choosing yourself in these moments is not selfish. It is an act of courage. It is saying to yourself, my heart, my worth, and my emotional space matter. Walking away from someone who cannot meet you where you are is not abandonment. It is bravery. It is making room for relationships where love is mutual, care is consistent, and presence is steady. And when you do, you create a life where your heart is finally honored, your needs are respected, and you can rest in the knowledge that you are worthy of unwavering care. There's a truth we often avoid because it feels uncomfortable. Not everyone in our lives is capable of giving us the care we need. And the most painful part is that we often stay, hoping that love or attention will appear if we just try harder. But love doesn't require you to shrink, to over-explain, or to bend yourself into someone else's comfort zone. Real care shows up consistently, quietly, and without demand. It doesn't disappear when life gets hard. It doesn't wait for a perfect moment to exist, and the moment you realize this, you also realize that the absence of care is not a reflection of your worth. One of the first warning signs is inconsistency. Someone may be present one moment, laughing and engaged, and absent the next, leaving a quiet emptiness that you try to rationalize. But when inconsistency is the pattern, it's not about circumstance, it's about choice. And over time, you start to accept what should never have been acceptable. Another sign is the dismissal of your feelings. When your emotions are minimized, mocked, or called overreaction, it's a message louder than any words: you do not matter in the way you deserve. True care acknowledges your vulnerability. It leans in, it listens, it witnesses your heart without judgment. One-sided effort is another warning that cannot be ignored. You are the one making the calls, remembering birthdays, smoothing tension, showing patience, and holding the emotional weight of the relationship. True care is mutual. If you are carrying everything alone, it is a signal not of your inadequacy, but of their incapacity. Lack of curiosity is also telling. Someone who truly cares asks questions, notices the little things, and celebrates even your smallest wins. If they are indifferent emotionally or intellectually, they are not missing details. They are missing you. Conditional support is another quiet but piercing signal. If someone is there only when things are easy, convenient, or beneficial, they are not showing love. They are showing preference. Love stands firm in storms, not only in sunshine. Boundaries are equally revealing. When your clearly stated limits are ignored or challenged, it is a statement. Your needs, your safety, your comfort are secondary. And the final, most painful sign, when being with them leaves you lonelier than being alone. Your body often recognizes the truth before your mind does, sensing the emptiness that words cannot capture. Choosing yourself in these moments is an act of courage, not selfishness. It is saying, my heart, my worth, and my emotional space are non-negotiable. Walking away from someone who cannot meet you where you are is not abandonment. It is bravery. It opens the door to relationships where care is mutual, attention is consistent, and love does not require compromise. And when you do, you finally create a life where your heart is honored, your needs are respected, and your presence is celebrated, not questioned. You begin to understand that the kind of care you long for is not something you have to fight for. It is something you allow yourself to receive fully and unapologetically. There's a subtle truth most of us avoid admitting. Sometimes the people we love the most are not capable of giving us the care we deserve. And the hardest part is that we often stay, believing that our presence, our effort, or our patience will somehow awaken their care. But love, real love, doesn't require you to shrink. It doesn't require you to explain yourself endlessly or justify your worth. It doesn't disappear when life gets messy. True care is steady, consistent, and generous without expectation. It meets you where you are, not where someone else thinks you should be. The moment we begin to notice when care is absent, it is not a reflection of our inadequacy, it's a reflection of their inability. One of the first signs that someone doesn't genuinely care is inconsistency. They might show up, fully present and engaged one day, and then vanish the next. Not because they are busy or forgetful, but because they choose convenience over connection. Inconsistency teaches the heart to tolerate absence and signals that your emotional needs are optional. Another sign is emotional minimization. When your feelings are laughed at, dismissed, or labeled as too much, it communicates that your inner world does not matter. Care leans into vulnerability. Care witnesses without judgment. Indifference teaches us to question ourselves, to shrink, and to silence our own hearts. One-sided effort is another warning that should not be ignored. You may find yourself making the calls, initiating plans, smoothing tension, and holding the emotional weight of the relationship alone. Real care is mutual. When only one person carries the effort, it is not a failure on your part. It is a signal of absence. Lack of curiosity is also telling. Someone who truly cares asks questions, remembers details, notices milestones, and celebrates your successes. If they remain indifferent, it's not forgetfulness. It's emotional unavailability. Conditional support is a quiet, piercing sign. Someone who is there only when it's convenient or easy is showing preference for comfort over connection. True care is steadfast even in difficulty. Boundaries are another revealing marker. When your limits are ignored, challenged, or dismissed, it communicates that your well-being is not a priority. And perhaps the most painful sign of all is the feeling of being lonelier with them than you would be alone. Your body recognizes absence before your mind does. You feel it in quiet moments, in the hollow ache of unmet attention, in the subtle tension of unreciprocated care. Choosing yourself in these moments is not selfish. It is courageous. It is acknowledging that your heart, your emotional space, and your worth are non-negotiable. Walking away from someone who cannot meet you where you are is not abandonment. It is bravery. It opens space for relationships where care is reciprocal, attention is consistent, and love does not demand compromise. When you choose yourself, you finally allow the life you long for, one in which your heart is honored, your needs are valued, and your presence is celebrated. The care you deserve is not something you must chase. It is something you allow yourself to receive fully and unapologetically. There's a quiet heartbreak that many of us carry, one that doesn't announce itself with drama or arguments. It's the subtle, persistent feeling that someone close to you doesn't truly care, and it's not about grand gestures or perfection. It's about presence, attention, and the willingness to meet you where you are. The hardest part is that we often rationalize it, telling ourselves that love requires patience, endurance, or self-sacrifice. But the truth is, care doesn't demand that you shrink, bend, or diminish your needs. Real care meets you fully. It honors your boundaries, your emotions, and your worth without hesitation or expectation. And when it's absent, it's not because you are too much, it's because they are not capable of showing up. One of the first warning signs is inconsistency. Someone may be deeply attentive one day and emotionally absent the next. They may show up when convenient and disappear when life becomes challenging. Over time, inconsistency teaches your heart to tolerate absence, to accept what should never be normalized. Another sign is emotional minimization. When your feelings are dismissed, labeled as overreacting, or ignored, it sends a powerful message: your inner life is not important. Care leans into vulnerability. It listens, it validates, it honors the messy, complicated parts of being human. Indifference teaches you to question yourself, to doubt your worth, and to silence your heart. One-sided effort is another unmistakable sign. You find yourself making the calls, planning the visits, smoothing conflicts, and holding the emotional weight of the relationship alone. Real care is reciprocal. When only one person is giving effort, it is not a failing on your part. It is a clear sign of absence. Lack of curiosity is equally revealing. Someone who truly cares asks questions, remembers details, notices the small moments, and celebrates your successes. If they remain indifferent or distracted, it is not forgetfulness. It is emotional unavailability. Conditional support is also a sign to pay attention to. Someone who is only present when life is convenient, comfortable, or easy is showing preference over true care. Love stands firm in storms, not just in sunshine. Boundaries are another marker. When your clearly communicated limits are repeatedly ignored, it shows that your well-being is not a priority. And the most painful sign of all is the sense of being lonelier with them than you would be alone. Your body feels the truth before your mind catches up. You sense the emptiness, the quiet ache, the weight of unmet care. Choosing yourself in these moments is not selfish, it is courageous. It is acknowledging that your heart, your emotional space, and your worth are non-negotiable. Walking away from someone who cannot meet you where you are is not abandonment, it is bravery. It opens the space for relationships where care is mutual, love is consistent, and presence is steady. When you choose yourself, you finally allow your life to be filled with the care, respect, and love you deserve. You no longer have to chase validation or settle for absence. You simply receive what you are worthy of, fully and unapologetically. Here's what I want you to hear, and really hear. You are not asking for too much. You are asking the wrong person for what only someone capable of care can give, and the bravest thing you will ever do is stop shrinking your needs to fit into someone else's limitations. Because self-worth doesn't begin when someone chooses you. It begins when you choose you without guilt, without apology, without fear. And when you do that, you don't just walk away from what hurts you, you walk toward a life where care is mutual, love is steady, and you no longer have to question your value. That is not selfish. That is courageous.